most of the people that we work with most of the problems that they have are caused by the traumatic things that have happened in their life. And a lot of that starts before they're even born. So our definition of trauma is any situation in which the brain accommodates the need to be in survival. So anything that makes me feel like I have to survive whatever's happening to me right now starts to make some changes in my brain. And the longer I stay in that situation, the more dramatic those changes are going to be. So there's lots of things that can cause that. Most people are really familiar with traumatic stress from combat, post-traumatic stress disorder, that a lot of combat veterans come home with. And all that is that my brain had to make changes to accommodate me being in a war zone.
Part of what we're going to talk about today is the different parts of the brain. And our brain, for lack of a better way to talk about this, our brain's a lot like a muscle, okay? The different parts of our brain. So the part of our brain that we're using is the part of the brain that's developing, right? And so our brain, if we're living in survival mode all the time, our brain makes some very literal changes as far as where all the connections are within our brain. Okay, so the first kind of definition we'll go with is any situation in which survival is the overriding concern. We're going to break it down even further. So then we think survival and we think, right, you can think combat situations, possibly a really bad car accident, that's a survival thing. But it gets even trickier than that. We're going to really use a really loose term for even what survival means. And we're going to talk about it this way because we're going to further break down what trauma is even into this. So trauma is any situation in which all of the sensory input is arrhythmic. So not rhythmic, right? So I'm going to use a quick example. So everybody prepare yourself to have the ability to clap. Put your pens down, get in a, you don't have to stand up and, but get ready, right? All I'm going to ask you to do is clap with me, okay? So clapping, we'll start in a minute. There's the sound of clapping, right? That is sensory input. It's input coming into our brain, right? Once we start clapping, you'll actually see my hands and everybody else's hands moving too, right? And so that also is sensory input because there's something that we see, right? So senses, we're breaking stuff down and you're gonna be like, why are you telling me that? I know that. We just want to make sure everybody's on the same page, right? So sensory input is things that I taste, things that I feel, things that I hear, things that I see, all of those things, right? It's coming into our brain. Every single time something from the senses comes in, I want y'all to start picturing that the brain kind of lights up. There's a part, probably many parts of the brain, but there's at least a part of the brain that lights up or gets activated, we'll say that word, right? So sensory input is what develops the brain, okay? We're going to talk for just a second about the difference between different types of sensory input. So first I'm going to ask y'all just to clap with me. Y'all ready? Go. Good job. Rhythmic group here. That was great. All right, y'all try clapping with me one more time. Okay, we're going to talk about both ways. Ready? Oh my God, I found the quitters right away. Okay, right, so the first one was rhythmic, duh. The second one was arrhythmic. So here's the deal. We're so breaking down what makes something traumatic so that y'all can really start thinking, gosh, what really is trauma on the brain, okay? Anytime the sensory input that's coming into our brain is arrhythmic like that, it's chaotic, it's unpredictable, I don't know what to expect, my brain can't really figure out what to do with it, and that signals my brain to be in survival mode. Anything that signals my brain to be in survival mode, for today's purposes, we're going to call that trauma.